Okay, we are into champion select here. Gragas is banned. I'm sorry, Trouble. Gragas has been banned. Akali and Alistair taken off the table here by BTXL. I'm wondering whether Kai'Sa will be considered as a ban here. I know that's one of the Chris Berg's favorite champions, and the strength of Kai'Sa right now is quite high. So expecting to see that potentially either first picked or banned here. But BTXL and Nordavind just running through those bans, pretty standard so far. I'm not seeing anything that's too crazy. Pantheon obviously a pretty high priority too.
I think it's quite interesting that the first ban that comes out is the Gragas, and immediately we see the Alistar ban. I don't know if that's planned or that was a reactive ban, because Gragas has been known to be one of these Alistar counters as well, if that is something that Nordavind would have had priority on. And you can just see that Akali in LPL has been 100% pick ban as well, and outside of that, it's just the junglers that coming through here. It does go to show that this is a jungle matchup we need to pay attention to, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was going to be a first pick as well. We still have the likes of Nidalee, Graves, and even Talia up.
Ooh, Talia is.
And I wanted just a little bit on that, because we talk so much about the bruises. They're just so very well paired with what Gulborg mentioned before. He's like, oh, I really like the Nidalees. Well, now Talia has been added to the mix. You know, Gragas has been added to the mix. All these AP junglers are coming back. They're sort of, you know, want to go towards the top side, and Renekton, it just fits that bill so well. You see that both sides have opted for that AP jungler, so we are going to see a lot of bruises up in the top lane. Renekton open, Camille open. It's going to be a bloodbath.
There's also Yone as well, and can't forget that boy. He's in the right hands. Yone is very, very scary, and having AP junglers allows you to get that mixed damage profile, like you're saying. Trouble.
Hopefully not NA Yone.
I mean, NA Yone was EU Yone. You saw what Perks did on that thing.
Listen,
I know he's gone, but still. No, there it is. We got, as you mentioned, Scoundrel, the amazing. Not only can you host play-by-play, but obviously your analyst coming in here as well. The Kai'Sa lock-in for Chris Berg. Kai'Sa into Samira, interesting matchup here. Kai'Sa very much like one of the best AD carries in the meta right now, and Samira is still very strong despite the nerfs that she's been receiving.
So what's very interesting about BTXL's composition already is that they lock in Talia, which is usually a jungler where you have to have champions around the map that has CCs, so whatever lane you can go to, you can always set up that shaking crowd, whatever the ability you call, where you knock them back. And also Samira coming in as the third pick after you see Kai'Sa and Nidalee means that, oh, that is less CC we need to worry about. Samira is a high tier pick in priority, but you need to draft around her, and so does the enemy. You need to shut her down with CC, and that's what Nordavind needs now as well.
We'll see the Shen coming through now into the second ban phase, with Set being taken off the table. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not really sure. Again, I haven't really seen a huge amount of competitive play on the preseason, so I'm kind of like going into this with open eyes, I guess, trying to learn as much as possible. Anything that's blindingly obvious that's open right now that you think is going to be a high priority in the sort of the second phase of these picks and bans?
So I'm still looking in the mid lane. High tier control mages are still up that need to facilitate these junglers. That goes to Yone ban, because that is what they need on Nordavind as well. They need some AD because they got some quite heavy AP with the Nidalee. Magic damage coming out from Shen as well, and obviously Kai'Sa. I think Syndra is the high tier pick. Orianna, Victor, and Zoe. That's the like of mid laners we're looking for BTXL.
Yeah, I was on the same sort of boat with Gulborg right there. I'm like, I really hope Zoe wins. He makes a really good combination with the Nidalee as well. The spears, you know, everything running in. The W from Kai'Sa, the spears, the Zoe Qs is going to be an extremely heavy pole composition. And sure, Samira might have a Yasuo times 10 360 wind wall around her, but it can only work for a very brief second, right? So sure, you can evade one skill shot, but there's two more flying your way. Soon after that, Kai'Sa together with Shen, sort of like a submarine situation. So I really think that XL need some sort of heavy tank situation for peel onto Samira. Something like a Nautilus could be potentially the Leona that they banned themselves. So I really am waiting to see what is left for them. Maybe like something like a Galio in the bot lane. They need something around their ADC.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about just we were talking about the benefits of having AP junglers, meaning you can run some more physical damage heavy solo laners. The fact that they've locked in, Nordavind has locked in Shen for the top lane, that's not a lot of damage as far as, well, in the lane phase, blindly, Shen is just nutty damage. But as far as like carries go into the team fights, he's not going to be a big one there. You've got Kai'Sa, which is pretty hybrid, and you know, with that Nidalee locking in the jungle, I wonder whether you've got enough physical damage here in general.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost draft or anything like that.
Yeah.
On the side of BT, They have to redo it, we've been told, but I would love to see that on the side of BTXL. They pick up a frontliner in Galio, which also offers disengage. Then you just pair that up with either the Syndra or the Orianna, because you know you have to blind pick, and these are some of the most blind pickable champions you can get at all.
Gang set up for Taliyah. 2 melee champions playing against each other who will always be stepping forward. It's like there's so much there that I think that's probably where these two teams will look to play around. And as we're seeing the comps getting rounded out here, it is the blind Syndra, as you guys are rightly pointing out, and also Nautilus for a little bit extra engage and frontline.
So, as I said, yeah, what we needed there was a frontliner. I would still have preferred the Galio. I feel like Nautilus has had a rough time finding his spot into this meta, but nonetheless, it is still a frontliner that the composition need. And then Syndra just being the S-tier control mage she is right now. The problem with the Orianna-Syndra matchup is that for Orianna, you need to rush the Mercury threats first, whereas Syndra can start building up that AP, get that early tier of the Goddess, and Syndra has a level 3 stun from the get-go. So in a meta that is so early skirmish-driven by junglers, there is CC already from level 3 from Syndra, and you need level 6 on Orianna first. But after that, it's like free game for them.
Just looks like XL have got like insane 5v5 teamfight potential as well. Like you get into a flat out 5v5, they've got Samira, they've got Syndra, you've got plenty of CC. A lot of times CC can just kind of win you the games outright. So yeah, I'm kind of favoring XL just based on that, but I think a lot of it comes down to that execution. As you said, Gulborg, it's going to be very execution heavy. So I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out. It looks like we are just about ready to jump into games. So we're going to hand it over to our casters finally, about 15 years later. Orcs and Hip Rain, take it away.
I mean, we were just building up the suspense for our first game back at the NLC. Hello and welcome. My name is Jake Hip Rain Matthews, and I'm joined by Dan Orcs Harrison. Orcs, my dude, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm hyped. I am ready to be back. It's been a long off season. I'm sure everyone's missed competitive league. Starting to get back into it, and yeah, just good to get things underway.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get going into this game. I mean, we've got a bit of a corker to start it off. BTXL kind of coming in fresh with a really stacked roster, taking on Nordavind. Obviously, there were some concerns raised by the analyst desk about the Nordavind draft over on for their side. What are your thoughts right now between both of these teams? If we turn the nameplates off and we just look at them as 10 players as individuals, what are you thinking right now?
I think, honestly, BTXL have a lot of early tools. I think Taliyah is in a prime position to take over the game. She can easily play through her lanes. They have great CC setup. And then with that pressure, she can start to really take over the matchup against the Nidalee. The problem is, if that doesn't go well, if there's some mistakes in the early game, I feel like Nordavind have a really strong backline that they can facilitate. Kai'Sa, Orianna in the later stages, they got plenty of peel from the likes of the Shen and the Thresh. So if they can get to that point, they could be in for a good stead. But the problem is, I feel like when you put the nameplates back on, BTXL seem to be one of those teams that will use that pressure effectively. And as soon as they get the ball rolling, it's really difficult to see what you can do in response, because in an ideal world, you know, Renekton falls off, Deadly isn't able to find headway in team fights, but that's big ifs. Yeah,
it is kind of, we know XL as a team that are capable of kind of pulling off these plays. Not pulling off these plays, that's not the way to word it, but they're a team that they're very decisive. When they know it's go time, it is go time. There is no hesitation. That trigger gets pulled, and Deadly, obviously being on the team now for a fair amount of time, got a bit of experience back with this team. Switching out support, obviously with Kasing departing. A bit of a shake-up in the bot lane, but I'm still expecting a pretty dominating bot lane here from XL.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect so, and having the Kai'Sa, the Samira and the Nautilus is a really strong combo. You know, you have a good matchup into the Thresh as well for the Nautilus, so a lot of potential for things to go in their favor. But really, I'm looking to see what Sharp can do against Marcoon, because if this Taliyah starts to pull ahead, we've seen how destructive she can be after she got that buff to sort of damage and a clear. She can really take over games quickly, because once she started getting pressure, she'll be stealing your camps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are on to the Rift for our first game back here at the NLC. Nordavind taking on XL. XL on this blue side, Nordavind on the red. A big stack actually grouping up here. Kerberos coming fresh out of the Prime League, starting off on the Shen. We're going to see if they can find a little something. But Deadly maybe getting caught out. Touches there. Gets a really good hook onto him. Into the spear, into the flash. Taunt. Deadly's down. And Crisper gets first blood.
That's beautiful. That's just so nice to see Nordavind prepared and ready with a level 1 strategy. And they don't pay that much for it. They only lose to Shen Flash. Overall, not going to be too concerned about that one. It means Shen, especially starting Taunt, isn't going to be too aggressive in the top lane, but he wasn't going to be anyway. You get a kill. It goes to Chrisberg as well. And analysts were just talking about how this is a game to prove himself.
Well, it's a good start, but it's a matter of keeping that pressure up.
Game's over. This is the biggest gold lead we've seen in the NLC this year.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely humongous.
Chrisberg does go and get himself a longsword off the back of that, and an extra pot. So a bit more lane sustain, a little bit more poke. We actually had a lot of the Kai'Sa on the UKLC for the 2 days leading up to the NLC, yesterday and on Sunday, and we saw varying builds. A lot of people in the camp, myself included, that Gale Force is just a Giga broken item. We saw a lot of Gale Force Kai'Sa, but we did also see some Kraken Slayer Kai'Sas as well come out. Ones that were kind of more about making sure they trusted their team to keep them alive, and then they could just pump out a massive amount of damage. So I'll be interested to see what Chrisberg goes for, or if not, he wants to go for the kind of safe play style here, or if he wants to go for the I want to put the big numbers out.
Yeah, I feel like in this game, it's going to get to a point where there's no one really on the side of BTXL. Kai'Sa's going to struggle to kill. It's more so not getting killed yourself. So I feel like we may well see the Gale Force as a result. But either way, you're 400 gold closer to getting that one. And BTXL getting pushed in pretty heavily. Topside start from the Nidalee means, you know, Touch and Chrisberg were at the wave first, able to push that wave in. And it's very clear already that they're playing a bit sacrificial towards the top side for Nordavind. Kerberos is essentially going to be on an island, which, you know, you have a Shen there. That's kind of his duty. That's kind of his job. But it means there's definite opportunities for Markoon and Arome to punish that top side.
Yeah.
And could happen as early as level 3. You can see Markoon is pathing up towards there.
It's one of those things that if you followed Curb for a while, you know he's used to this. He is a weak side player. He's very good at absorbing and holding pressure for himself. Obviously, if he gets the opportunity to take over a game, we know he's capable. Sometimes we just get his Tryndamere performance as well. So you don't know what Curb we're going to land on here.
It was funny how he got the little tidbit at the bottom talking about how he plays, you know, Yorick, split pushing, stuff like that. And he was doing a lot of that in the Prime League, and here it's like instantly back to that Shen duty. Like, nope, you're playing the defensive role, you're playing for the team. Well trained, I'd say already, but ultimately it's essentially just illustrating the game plan that is kind of, we expected it. Talking about the draft, we expect Chrisberg to be kind of propped up for this team, especially as he is the only AD threat on the composition. Obviously, Kai'Sa does a fair bit of magic damage as well, so she needs items to be able to be putting out that physical damage. And if she starts to fall behind, it just makes it so much easier for PTXL to itemize. So a lot of eggs in this basket.
Well, the base is going to come forward. Looks like a bit of a cheater recall from Chrisberg and Touch, just to try and extend that lead a little bit more for themselves in the lane. Serrated is going to get picked up for Chrisberg here. Just wants to get that early AD. Kind of a pretty effective buy. We did see the Serrated get picked up fairly early a couple of times over the last 2 days with the Kai'Sas as well, just because it gives you the Q upgrade as quick as possible.
Yep. And that extra burst damage early actually is really powerful. Like early Serrated Dirk, as far as AD champions go, is probably one of the biggest spikes in the game when it comes to dueling.
Yeah.
Did see Markoon make his way towards the top side, but Kerb pretty safe in the tower. The wave actually in a really good spot, just frozen, keeping him safe. So if he can keep it here for as long as possible, because the thing is, whenever Arome trades with him, he has to use his Q. His Q hits the wave, pushes it back, and Kerberos is really safe in this spot. But Markoon did get a ward down. We saw that on the Krugs, and so Arome very aware of where the Nidalee is.
Yeah, Curb is standing in the middle of that wave, taking a fair amount of damage here. Does block out with the Spirit's Refuge on a few of those auto attacks from Arome.
Okay, Arome finally manages to crush the wave. So now he can move away, potentially go for a reset, or just throw a ward down. But essentially, that's the goal here, is you push it into the tower, it then bounces back, that forces Kerberos to overextend, and that's the point where potentially you can look for a setup. You can see Markoon is fishing here.
Yeah, just staying out of range. I don't know if he was spotted by the ward a minute ago. That one just off to the side. There's the flash, there's the seismic shove. Kerberos is down, and Arome will get the kill. He wasn't seen by the ward, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, there's the combo. There's very little counterplay. The only thing that Kerberos can do is throw down his shield to block the auto attacks, and that stops the stun. But realistically, Arome knows this. He goes for the flash stun instead of dashing in. Leaves very little window for Kerberos to do anything, and a free kill pickup. And in
Instant
return,
reaction play, though.
yeah, instant reaction. You're making plays on the bot side. You put Crispig and Touch in a good position. They're going to pick that dragon up. So pretty balanced overall. But my concern is you're looking at top lane now. Kill onto this Renekton. 17 CS lead as well. It's already looking a little bit rough.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit hard for Kerberos at the moment, but keep in mind, once he's got that 6, he can also look to play with the team around the map. Still held onto his teleport as well, walk back to lane so he can ulti into a play and then teleport back to the lane and not try to give too much over to Rome if a Rome decides to hang around and not match the Rome. So that's what we'll keep our eyes on. Ericsson now level 6, so has the shockwave. Markoon is trying to see if he can find something onto Ericsson, though. Ericsson is playing this pretty safe, but there's the Weaver's Wall, there's the Scatter of the Weave, there's the Flash, and this
Markoon,
is just running to the wind. The shockwave lands onto 2. Ericsson's able to get it out. Markoon, that went so bad for him.
Yeah, Chanel's a bit late. Kerberos might look for something here, but Markoon, he was on the wrong side of the wall. That could have been so easy. Having the Flash to get on the other side, and then Ericsson goes for a nice shockwave. A little bit rough, but that's all I can really say. Markoon making his NLC debut, and that's not what you want to see in your first game.
I want to get your thought, actually, on the Nidalee pick, because we saw a lot of Nidalee towards the end of last year. With the removal of Runic Echoes, it feels like Nidalee's actually one of the junglers that's suffered quite a fair amount because of that. Do you agree with that statement? Obviously, Unholy Grail and Runic Echoes gone. Kind of 2 core components of the Nidalee. What's your thoughts on Nidalee right now?
I think she's still doing okay because essentially you can still function the same way. Like she has a great clear. She's really good at applying that early pressure if she has setup. The itemization's a bit weird when it goes late in the game. Kind of we've seen 2 different camps on should you be going Moonstone and just playing support for your team, similar to how Athene's was, or should you be going a more aggressive build? I still think she's good. She still can do what she does. As to whether she scales as well, I feel like compared to the Athenes, which gave you a really nice path in the late game, I think Night Harvester kind of relies on you applying more pressure. So I'd say that bit might be a bit worse, but she's still really strong in the jungle. She's still good at finding that early pressure. And she even got buffs to her spears. So as far as damage goes, she's doing pretty solid in that regard too.
Speaking of doing solid, Arome just chunking Kerberos out. Massive CS lead for him. It's Crispberg. He's going to force the Blade Whirl from Deadly. Actually will be enough just to block out from this plate going down, so not a bad one for them. Kerberos just catching waves underneath the tower. Spirit's Refuge should be coming up fairly soon, or Stand United, sorry. Should be coming up fairly soon for him. So for now, it is just a matter of absorbing this Renekton as much as possible. Sharp trying to see if he can set something up in the mid lane. Hatrix doesn't have teleport, but does have the flash. And Ericsson's damage is a little bit lower because he's had to itemize into these Merc Treads as quick as possible.
Yeah, it's really important because if that stun lasts less time, you might be able to dodge away from Tilia or even get a chance to flash out of it. Do you see 2 plates going down in the bot side? So despite no sort of aggressive plays really coming out in the bot lane, Crispig and Touch are getting rewarded for this one. We've seen Rift Herald get taken. Kerberos knows that Markoon is there. He just has to back away. This could actually potentially be the tower for BTXL, but I don't think they want to take it so quickly. We'll see. It looks like they are just going to throw it down and go for the first tower blood. Kind of a leash on Rome on the map, but it does mean that Kerberos will have a safe lane to farm in.
Look for the shockwave. Hatrix. Good flash to safety. Dodges out on the spear as well. That would be first turret blood in the top side for BTXL, however. So burning the flash mid for losing a tower, and they're going to get the second charge, chunking this tier 2 down as well.
Oh, I mean, it's Gore Drinker complete on the Renekton already. That's a big item. Dragon coming up in a minute. If BTXL really wanted to, they could just go down and contest this one. But the thing is, they don't have vision set up in that area. And Markoon does need to go for a recall now. So we'll see whether they opt to just force their way in and contest this. You see pings coming out, so it looks like that will be the plan. Both teams just kind of getting their full resets off there. But again, I just don't think that realistically you're going to win this team fight for Nordavind, just with how strong this Renekton is. So I'd be a little bit careful on this one.
I think they can be pretty happy with the fact that they picked up that first dragon. It does slow down any soul win conditions. Crispberg's pretty strong in his lane. He's been able to get 3 plates and obviously that first blood gold, serrated Noon Quiver and the pickaxe. I do believe that's enough to upgrade the Q now on the Kai'Sa. I could be completely wrong. Yes, it is upgraded. It's been like with Kai'Sa, she's had so many itemizations over all the years, but sometimes it's hard to keep track of what upgrades where.
Now we do have the channel for the side of Nordavind, and looks like they sent Arome back up top side to push the wave. Kerberos is just farming up. I didn't think is Nordavind can be really patient here. They don't need a force because they're allowing Kerberos to catch up and farm, and they have the channel available. They just need to try and slow BTXL down. Spear lands from Sharp. It's exactly what you want. They are going to have to forego some of the vision here, as Arome has moved down.
It does look it's actually Nordavind who are able to nuzzle their way into the river to get some control. The wards are down in their favor. There are a couple in the pit that Sharp will have to deal with.
They should really never start this dragon here. They should just keep waiting. Arome had to walk down. He let Kerberos get a ton of farm and start to catch up. Now Arome has to head back up to catch that wave. And at that point is where he can start to feel comfortable about starting the dragon. But maybe this was a bit too soon because Arome's still in the wings. He's happy to sacrifice a wave if he ends up contesting this dragon. And Sharp does opt to move away from it. I think he's kind of waiting until they see the crocodile on the top side. And he will turn up now. So I think at this point, you can be pretty happy with the decision.
I think that was quite nice for Kerberos as well. Just bought him a bit of space to get some farm in his pocket because he's had a rough laning phase. And that was the first time he's just been able to kind of chill in the lane. He is down significantly to Arome though. But getting that little bit extra time, being able to get some items under your belt, some gold in your pocket, really nice there. As Ericsson secures the chicken camp for his team. Kerberos securing a camp for himself, but Arome just can go for a light trade onto Kerb.
I'm interested to see where the pressure is going to come out for BTXL and what the game plan is now, because Arome's pushed up this wave, but I don't really see them taking this tier 2 tower top yet. Looks like they might go for it. They're moving over, although maybe that's just to secure the red. But realistically, you have this big early lead on the Renekton, but you're losing out in the bot lane. And my question is just going to be, what are you going to do with this Renekton being so strong? Where are you going to snowball this? What are you going to capitalize on next? Because most teams would look to be taking the bot tower or the mid tower, be picking up dragons. And so far, they're kind of playing this one a bit slow.
Sharp's looking for something onto hat tricks. They have got that flash to burn. The shockwave's there. That's the spear. Ericsson secures the kill. Now Marcoon, he's the one in for a little bit of trouble. Sharp's laying the damage in. Arome comes with Kerberos, also delivered in. A fantastic Spirit's Refuge keeps Ericsson alive for a long time. There's the lantern. There's the safety. Ericsson out. Kerb is trying to get himself out as well. Arome gets a big heal off there with the Gourd Drinker and the Q. And Nordavind find a pick and get away with all of their lives.
Do end up losing Sharp, so ends up being a 1-for-1 there, but that could have been a lot worse, honestly, for Nordavind. The TP coming in from Arome, things get extremely scary when that Renekton turns up, and you saw the amount of damage he was putting down, but ultimately don't end up losing anyone apart from the jungler, so I think you can be happy with that one. You see, really aggressive play comes out here. Ericsson, they know the flash is down from before. Good shockwave in the spear. Instantly goes down, but then I think Sharp a little bit over aggressive here when the Renekton's coming up behind. This is just a little bit too far trying to go in for the trade 1-for-1. I guess the mindset was I'm already dead here. I burnt my flash. I'm not getting out. But the end result is the Renekton goes a little bit unchecked and a bit more damage there, and potentially could have been like a triple for the side of BTXL. So honestly, I like the initial play from Nordavind, but they got lucky not to lose more there. Overall, though, kind of keeping BTXL sort of focused on not slipping up at this point.
The gold lead at the moment is 2,000 over to the side of BTXL. See where most of that gold is sitting on. It is pretty much all in the top lane. So being somewhat recuperated by the fact that Chrisberg has a pretty significant lead over Deadly at the moment on this Kai'Sa and has finished up that Gale Force now. So has that bit of extra safety. Effectively 3 dashes on the Kai'Sa. Deadly taking a lot of damage. Chrisberg actually could go for this. His tower's going to go low. Gonna be the Blade Whirl used by Deadly to get away to safety, and turret will crumble. The 3 members collapsing in though. They got the lantern, and I think Chrisberg's going to be able to get away safely.
Yeah, you said 3 dashes. Actually, there's 4. You got the Flash, you got the ult, you got the Gale Force, and you have the Thresh Lantern. So
yes,
as safe as you can be on this Kai'Sa right now, and able to pick up that turret in the bot side. And overall, if I'm comparing a Fed Renekton against a Fed Kai'Sa, sure, in the mid game, I'm all on the Renekton side, but in the late game, the Kai'Sa is going to win out in that one. And
yeah,
BTXL still in the lead, but haven't been able to translate things. It's 1-for-1 in towers. They are looking mid now.
Good flash. That is one dead Orianna. The shockwave is cancelled, and Hatrix finds the kill.
There's a bit of translation. They won't get this tower quite yet, but getting some damage on it, which is important here. Herald up and available, so I expect to see an instant transition of that. Look to use that to try and find those towers that I was hoping to see them pick up a bit earlier. Overall, still finding a lead in this one, as we'd expect from the side of XL, but the question's always going to be, have they met the pace? And actually, Hatrix is going to be able to pick this one up.
Oh, Crispberg just goes into him. Gale Force is forward. One flash, one auto.
There's all four. There's all four. The dash is coming out from the Kai'Sa. Easy pickup on a Hatrix. And honestly, just a little bit greedy to go for that tower there. I guess he saw a window where they weren't available, but ends up eating the Kai'Sa W, and as soon as that lands on you, he knows you don't have your ultimate. He knows that the rest of the team has backed off, and so is confident to go for that play. And it's just more gold into the pocket of Crispberg.
The trade, though, as much as the gold is nice into Crispberg, they do lose that mid tower, which opens up the map quite significantly. And with the Rift Herald picked up as well, I think BT do trade upwards there. Because the ability to crash this tower through a Syndra kind of requires on making sure you've killed the Syndra, because she will just be able to clear the waves constantly. I mean, that's going to be the big problem there. Hatrix will take a spear from Sharp. That's a pretty big chunk. Remember, Nordavind have already got 2 dragons, so they're pretty cool to give this one up and just go, you know what, we're not ready to fight here. Let's just chill out.
Yeah, absolutely the right decision here to give up this dragon. It's a Cloud Soul, and XL are so far away from getting it that you're not really concerned. The way ping's coming out for that top lane tower, but I'm glad they backed away because XL have the Herald. They would absolutely win if you started trading across the map in terms of those. They are going to secure this one on the bot side regardless. And Care Bear did Twan away. Was that a bit buggy for you as well?
That I was like, I had to check what item he had there. I thought he had Hex Flash. That was weird.
No, I think he just torn it over the wall and it took a second to catch up. But either way, Herald's going to get used bot. They will pick up that tower. Building up to a 2k gold lead for XL. This is sort of momentum we did want to see from them. And they have significantly opened the map up now and are able to start stacking up those dragons. The problem is, I'm curious to see how they get further than this. Like, taking the tier 2s is another beast enough itself. Soul pressure is miles away. So really looking to see how XL extend their lead in this situation. And finding a pick on the back of Advian is definitely a way they can do that.
I want to take stock of where we are item-wise, because pretty much all of the mythics, bar the supports, have started to come through. The big one for me is the fact that Crispberg now has the Gale Force and the Collector. He's going to have a massive amount of damage. Obviously, that Execute as well. Versus Deadly, who's just got the Immortal Shield bow. So an entire item difference separates both of these AD carries. There are the plated steel caps onto Deadly, so he's finished his boots up while Crispberg hasn't. But even so, it's a pretty monumental lead right now between the ADs.
Yeah, interesting to see the plated steel caps. Like, it's going to reduce the damage from Crispberg significantly. The extra armor, great against the lethality. But when you're against, like, we'll say, like, 4.25 AP champions, never feels like a good pickup to be taking that one. But no, it's just a threat coming out from this Kai'Sa, and you can see it's the same decision from Arome. Obviously, Shen does a little bit of auto attack damage, but I think just very aware of who is turning out to be the big threat on the side of Nordavind. And it's kind of expected over the history of Crispberg playing in both the Nordic League and the UK. Very much a player you put resources into and looks to carry you in the later stages.
It's a bit like Deadly in that playstyle as well, because Deadly's always been a player who will always absorb as much resources as the team will funnel into him, and then look to kind of hyper carry later. The difference is right now, Crispberg, the one who's having it work out for him, has to supercharge away. Gale Force is used as well. Where's that quick cheeky Void Seekers? Kerberos was ulting to him, so if that Void Seeker hit, I think Crispberg would have gone for that fight.
Potentially could have. Might have been a bit risky, but with the ultimate coming from the Nautilus. But we do see them actually applying pressure to Ericsson. He has flash, so should get away.
Yeah, he's able to get out. Forces the flash from Hatrix as well.
You can see these picks. XL are looking for them in these situations, trying to apply that pressure, because you get 1 or 2 and it could mean that Baron, but ultimately unable to find something. Just too much safety on this Kai'Sa, really mitigating the pressure. And the Shen as well. I mean, these are the tools we were talking about sort of before the start of the game. These are the tools that can really enable Crispberg to play with safety despite the sheer aggression coming out from BTXL's composition. And as the game goes on, I'm a little bit concerned because Arome, all these resources were funneled into him. And this Renekton is still very strong, very relevant, but there's going to come a point where you just won't be able to offer as much threat. I'm a bit concerned about that.
Let's be at the 20-minute mark. Just look like Arome going for a fight onto Curb. Curb now starting to be able to kind of hold his own a little bit more. Finished up. I can't remember the name of that one.
It's the Frostfire Gauntlet.
Thank you, Frostfire Gauntlet.
I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure.
The manic typing in the background.
Yep, there you go. Is it? Yeah, it is. Frostfire Gauntlet. Too many new items.
My biggest area at the moment is I've just not played any enchanters, and I didn't read anything. I learned by doing throughout preseason.
Here's a solution.
So
Here's a solution. Right? Play
stuff.
ARAMs. Oh, Chris Berg for the play.
Yeah, but Arome, he's getting jumped onto. Remember, there is this collector. Chris Berg has so much damage, and oh no! What? Arome just turns it around. Kerberos is going to be able to talk to safety. I hate Gore Drinker.
I mean, you know how we were talking about all these safety nets for Chris Berg? We have the protection from the likes of the Shen, the Orianna, the Thresh. That doesn't work when none of them are there. That's like the only play you can make where it favors BTXL so much is just aggressing onto this Renekton, who is so incredibly strong. TP is coming in, but they're without the AD carry, the most fed member.
It's going to be a good shockwave to force them off. A couple of spears being thrown out as well. Sharp is looking to try and land that poke. Hatrix does take a big spear there. Nordavind, I think they're looking to contest this as much as possible. They are trying to stop this. Everyone's coming over the wall. The box has been thrown down. Shockwave only lands onto one. Arome heals up. Gore Drinkers as well. Marcoon completely untouched and deadly with the Infernal Trigger. Finds himself a double kill. Now Chris Berg's joined into the fight. Kerberos unleashes the power. There's a big scan of the week and Chris Berg flashes over. Curb did him dirty. Chris Berg's down. And Hatrix finds the kill. A spear by Sharp gets a kill on the tail end. But that is all BTXL.
Yeah, they were never going to coin flip that one. Going for the 50-50, way too risky. But they got the team fight out of it. They baited Nordavind in. Chris Berg wasn't there for the start of the fight. And without him, you could see that looked like it could have been good for Nordavind. So many members getting low. We'll see the replay. So if Chris Berg had been here, then this might have been a bit of an in-play from BTXL. You know, they get caught up by all the CC. It's a rough shockwave, but so many members caught in up close. But the problem is there's no Chris Berg. That damage isn't there. Deadly goes unchecked, dive in the backline. And only now, after the fight is already lost, does he turn up. Ends up getting taken out pretty quickly. And this is just the result of that misplay on the bot side. They try and go for the Renekton. It doesn't work. And the cost is this entire team fight. And now XL, 4,000 gold up, are looking to be in a really good spot.
That was a fantastic team fight for them. Sharp shoving in this top lane. Not really going to be able to take it, unfortunately, as Hatrix has made his way over. Although, Scan of the Week now used. Spear goes a little bit wide. With the Nautilus off in the wings, Hatrix felt perfectly comfortable in case the Nidalee jumped in. And Remy just pushing up this wave.
You know how we were talking before about how far ahead Chris Berg was? Well, after that team fight, Chris Berg bought another Jagger and Deadly bought a Collector. So kind of caught up a lot in terms that there is still a gold lead between the two, but even so, it's just eclipsed that gap massively. And when we look on the top side, Arome is still so incredibly strong. Obviously getting that shutdown from the Kai'Sa as well. He is monster fed at this point. And at this point, BTXL can really just keep looking for picks, looking to bait around this Baron. And as soon as they get one, there is real threat that they just go for this objective.
Well, Chris Berg just catching waves here. Got the red buff. Obviously wanting to build towards that Hurricane as quick as possible.
See grouping coming out around this Baron, and BTXL got pretty strong vision control in the area. You can see Touch moving in to try and help facilitate this one.
He's going to spot out a bunch of these wards. But they are struggling to eke their way into this red side.
I mean, this is big because I think a lot of people look at Nordavind as one of the people in XL's group that potentially could have challenged them. It's a double round robin. They only get 2 chances. And right now, BTXL looking in a strong point for their first one. Just going to pick up this top tower easy as it goes. 5,000 gold lead. At this point, starting to look really rough for the start of Nordavind. They kind of need BTXL to make a mistake at this point. They kind of need them to overforce on the Baron. But being on blue side, XL can easily just pull away. If they go aggressive on the Baron, they can just walk off, kind of buy the time with this one.
Yeah. We can see the gold difference on your screens right now.
Yeah, you can see there's like...
Started out pretty narrowly ahead for Nordavind, and it just skyrocketed.
You can see there's like this constant sort of level point where the gold lead is about 2,000. And then there's like a big jump as Aromi got the shutdown. And then there's another big jump as they got their team fight. And it's just... Now they're so far ahead. The one good thing is that obviously Seoul is still 2 dragons away, so it's 7 minutes before that, and then obviously quite a bit more time before that Elder Dragon, so Nordavind don't have that to worry about. As well as being the Cloud Soul, it's still strong. That extra movement speed going to be really useful, particularly for a Rome trying to get onto Crispberg after, 18 dashes. But that gives you a little bit of levity.
Like, I know it doesn't reduce the cooldown, but this movement speed you get when ulting is pretty nasty. Speaking of nasty, Touch is just getting completely cut off and taken down. Does survive for a fairly lengthy amount of time, as that will be deadly cashing in on the kill.
And that's the problem. It becomes so difficult trying to contest his vision. The pick potential's there from BTXL, and pings are coming out on the Baron. They're trying to trade mid tower for this Baron potentially. I was a little concerned that B collapsed on there, but it looks like BTXL is like, sure, we'll take that. They've cleared out the vision. They've started this one up. Aromi's moving over, and he has a flank right now, so could be scary.
It's gonna be incredibly scary. Looking for a little bit of poke. There's the flash.
Beautiful engage.
2-1 already. Crispberg is just minced. Nowhere to go. Ericsson's trying to buy a bit of space to the rest of the team as Kerberos will lose his life, and this is just going to be another whitewash fight for the side of XL. There's a double kills picked up for one. Sharp's trying to find an assassination, but Aromi is just zoning him off. Maybe Touch can come in with a Miracle Lantern. I don't think he can. What was that?
Yeah, I'm guessing the thought process was there's nowhere to throw the lantern where he could take it over the wall because like Aromi was on top of it. So instead he threw it because I'm guessing Sharp said I'll flash the lantern. Looks pretty comical, but either way, BTXL, they got their pick, they got the fight, they get the Baron, and this Renekton. I was talking about in the later stages of the game who my money would be on. I think when it's a level 17 Renekton with 3.5 items, scaling goes out the window. We can see the replay, and this engage from here from Advian is beautiful. Flashes over, gets the CC. Crispberg dies before Roma even touches him, and then it gives the Crocodile free reign in this team fight. Just completely destroys everyone, and they just don't have the damage to cut through him. Even if Crispberg was there, I'm not sure they would have had the damage to do anything, but XL firmly in control of this game right now.
Nordavind will finally get their first turret, or second turret of the game. They've been trying to chip away at that for a long time. XL just getting vision control around the area as Kerberos needs to be so careful. Hook is going to get dodged out by the taunt. Sharp is playing with fire here.
You can see Nordavind are fishing, trying to get something in return, but realistically, it's a dangerous game to play in this situation. The gold lead's massive, the level lead as well. And BTXL just applying pressure across the map, looking for these picks, these opportunities. And Advian has been a big proponent of that. Often someone who favors these hook champions, the likes of Thresh, Nautilus, and he's been doing a lot of work, particularly in that last team fight. Oh, Crispberg taking a lot of damage there.
Yeah, getting chunked up very heavily. Hook is going to go wide from Touch, and looking just pushing in this mid lane tier 2. Top lane inhibitor towers under fire as well from the level 17 Renekton. Level 18 now, actually. That's a 3-level lead. Deadly's going to be able to blade whirl his way through the hook to make sure he doesn't get hit. And it just feels like XL and now just got their chokehold. Kerberos getting chunked out heavily, and he's not going to be able to survive this for long. Looks for the taunt away. The rest of the team do make their way over. Crispberg jumping in to put the wall down, and this is going to be a lot of damage thrown onto Crispberg. He is able to finally get himself a shutdown as he cashes in on the kill, but the cost is an inhibitor in the bot lane and a serious amount of damage here in the mid lane as well.
All things considered, not too bad. Like, that inhibitor was gone anyway. There's realistically no way you defend that when the Baron's up. You get a massive shutdown on a Chrisberg. Considering how bad the state of the game is right now with an 8k gold deficit, you take any small victory you can get.
Yeah.
As much as that was a small victory, you got to take it. It's back to the turret lane. Again, this could have very easily been solved. This could have very easily been solved for BTXL. And if they had those first 2 dragons, that would have been Elder. So that is the sort of silver lining for Nordavind. You're not facing a Soul BTXL. You're not facing a Elder Dragon BTXL as of yet. You have a bit of time, but in 3 minutes, the Baron's spawning, and you need to be able to contest that one. So I think you lose that second Baron, game's looking pretty doomed.
Yeah. Chrisberg just catching a wave in the top lane. He's got himself an Executioner's Calling, so there is a little bit of Grievous with that Bramble Vest on Kerberos as well. Maybe able to do something about Arome and Deadly at this point, who's finished up the Bloodthirster with the Immortal Shield Bow. The amount of healing and sustain, especially when the Infernal Trigger is pulled. It's going to be Deadly. Actually, it's going to be pseudo-tanking, quite hard to take down.
This is a difficult part. It's not about just fighting at the Baron. It's getting the vision to even walk in on the Baron. There's so many skills on the side of BTXL you just don't want to face check. Nautilus Hook, the Seismic Shove from the Talia, the Scatter the Weak from the Syndra. Just any of these connect with someone inside of Nordavind and they're just down. So you can see how far up the vision is pushed by BTXL. And the danger is you have so many brushes to face check. As soon as BTXL walk out of vision, they could be starting the Baron. So you're rushing, but you go too fast and you could just end up going down. It's really not a fun spot to be in.
Well, if we want to look at some silver linings, there won't be any supers dealing anything too detrimental in this bot side, as Curb has shoved that wave in heavily down there. Has afforded him some experience and some gold.
He thinks he's on Yorick.
He does have ult, remember, so you can always join in a snap. But now, Shockwave to, I'm going to say, to clear the wave and not have missed.
I mean, he caught Marcoon. This is Marcoon flashed, so he actually nearly caught him under tower. Marcoon does have to flash, but does get away, but it forces something. I feel like losing the second inhibitor, that's where it really starts to hurt, and they could potentially lose top tower as well. No Shockwave, which obviously is an issue. They're just trying to play this defensive game, and BTXL are being respectful. They don't want to overcommit here. They know how strong Chrisberg is.
Yeah, Chrisberg, 4 items now. That Infinity Edge finished up. Actually does start to hurt, but it doesn't matter if you're landing hooks onto Ericsson. There's a hook back from Touch. They're looking for the opening. Kerberos gets himself a kill already. 1 for none to start us off, and Nordavind will lose that inhibitor, and XL happy just to back off now.
I mean, they get a pick in return once again. A pick for an inhibitor seems to be the trading between these two teams. But the problem is you're now going to have super minions pushing in bot lane and mid lane, and that puts more pressure towards his Baron side. But as we saw, Kerberos is pretty happy to clear these waves. And typically, you know, if you're behind in gold already, team fighting without your top laner there initially is a bit of a problem. With the Shen, you're not too concerned. He can ult in and obviously instantly have that impact. So Nordavind find a bit of space. BTXL reset, Nordavind can get some vision down, but it's still not a good spot. 5,500 is the gold lead. 6,000, sorry, is the gold lead. Even with that tower pickup. And BTXL, again, just apply that vision, push the waves up, get control of the Baron area, and just wait for someone to face check. That's all you really need. And if they don't face check, take the Baron.
They do have the double scryers for Nordavind. Doesn't mean that they don't have to face check initially.
Triple scryers. Oh, you can have 2 up, yeah.
2 up, sorry, yeah. It's 2 up at the moment, so you can kind of temper it a little bit, and XL as well also need to gain control of this area, but they might just do that by getting a kill here. Touch goes golden, the hook's onto Chrisberg. He has to ult back, massive shield, as in comes the Shen. Chrisberg's knocked up, Chrisberg's taken down, and this is all XL needed. One deadly mistake cost them everything. Kerberos loses his life, a double kill for Arome. Ericsson, the only one inside the base right now. Minions are trying to get caught by the Nidalee. Sharp is doing hero's work here. Teleport's going to get thrown down, and Sharp, he's not going to be able to buy too much time anymore. Scatter the Week's dodged away, and that might give a bit of respawn time, but it's still 30 seconds until the end carries up. I think XL have closed this one out here.
Yeah, the TP from Hatrix there securing the wave. There's no way you really get out of that one, and 2 members not enough to defend this one. This is game here for XL.
Might just be the one member, to be honest. Hatrix is chunked out pretty heavily. Ericsson does flash away. Hatrix also has to use a stopwatch. Sharp is buying a lot of time. Gets the assassination off. But this is the end of the turret. A little bit of a stylish end there as the Infernal Trigger goes down one last time. And it's an ace for XL. 35 minutes on the clock. And this will be the game. Maybe going for a couple of star points first, though.
Everyone dive Crispin, give him a pentakill. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's the outcome we expected, but I think there was definitely moments where Nordavind made mistakes they didn't need to, and if they hadn't made those, I think that game could have been a lot closer. I don't think there's any mistakes that I'm like, oh, if Nordavind didn't make this, they win the game. But like that play on the bot lane against the Renekton didn't need to happen. And it was kind of, you saw XL, they weren't setting like an insane pace in this game. We've seen teams crush games in 20 minutes, and it seemed like, you know, it was a roller coaster of the enemy team. With no ending, they just flew off it. But here, it was one of those situations where XL were kind of just waiting for Nordavind to make mistakes, and ultimately Nordavind made several. And as soon as they made one, they just snowballed the game significantly. And it's a bit unfortunate, but it's the expected outcome. But it kind of, I look at this and I see this as Nordavind. It's your first game of the split.
Yeah,
there's definitely things to improve on. But I don't think XL in that game looked unbeatable. They just looked strong.
It's day one. Everyone's shaking some rust off here, getting back into the flow of it. So, you know, it was a good start. They had a great game plan at the beginning to get that cheeky first blood, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. And with that,
and you know what, Jake? What? You know what I will say? That Rome guy, NLC rookie, looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
he could go
far. This guy, I haven't. Right, you horrible lot. We're going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back, we actually have Hatrix standing by for an interview, and let the analysts break that down a little bit more. See you in a second.
Well, XL take the first victory of the NLC Spring, but it was not clear-cut. Nordavind definitely made them work for it, and there were some glimmers of hope here for the Nordavind team. I think, you know, especially 20 minutes in, we were saying, damn, Nordavind looking pretty good. Obviously, XL did come out on top trouble, but definitely feel like the team made them work for it.
Honestly, I feel like it all started when Nordavind caught Deadly off guard in that tribush in the bot lane. They managed to get that kill diverted onto Chrisberg, and then ever since that happened, they translated that 1-0 lead onto their ADC onto a complete snowball down the bot lane. They got every single tower plating down there. If you could see their vision on the bot quadrant of the map, it was always above the enemy lines. They could see all the time into Marcoon's jungle towards the bot side, and they knew Aromi was going to snowball, right? So they played their cards on the bot side of the map. They got the 2 dragons early on, but then team composition just struck in, man.
And honestly, a lot of that came from the cross maps that Nordavind was able to get out on the map. As soon as they saw that Herald drop down, got some bot lane priority, got a lot of vision. Even Sharp's got 2 Drakes, and I think Sharp did a lot of the with the early game with the limited amount of resources that he did have. But on the other hand, XL is not looking like the dominant team I expected. They are still showing signs of it, but there was definitely some stage shooting. I don't know what to call it really, but Marcoon with a phenomenal gang, and then after in mid lane under tower, forced under, and then some turnarounds at Baron, which could have been a bit more clean. In the end, it was still a victory, but I suspect more of this roster coming out from BTXL.
Yeah, I think the first game of the season as well, though, you know, these guys haven't had much time to gel together in a competitive setting. And actually, do you know what? I think I can bring Hatrix in for an interview. We can have a little chat. First of all, Hatrix, how's Diamond 2 treating you?
Diamond 2 is great, man, as always. Finally, I'm back where I belong.
No, mate. As we know from you know previous esports events, Diamond 2 is a buff. You get a team buff going into competitive.
Yeah, it's true.
You know. Exactly, showed up. How are you enjoying the new season in general? How have you kind of adapted to the new season? You enjoying it as much as last season, or what are your thoughts?
I actually like it a lot more. At the start, you know, obviously it was really tough, and I wasn't sure what was good. But with time, like I've really come to enjoy all the new items, especially because I feel like there's a lot more variety in what I can play and build. Other than control mages, turns out just going tier every game is broken, but. It's fun. Like I've been trying out a lot of different builds and different champions. You can go tankier items on squishier champs, you know. So there's some things that needs to be like fine-tuned, you know, Gore Drinker, one of them. But I actually really enjoyed it so far.
Yes, we saw from Arome.
Yeah,
this is
that champ.
Item. And speaking of Rome, how is the new team settled in? Obviously, there's a few roster changes coming from your previous iteration from last split. How has the team kind of gelled together over the sort of time that you've had together?
I think we're gelling together quite nicely, honestly. Obviously, everyone comes from different teams with different ideas of the game. So, the first weeks is always getting used to each other and picking up some basic concepts that we can, work with. But it's been great so far. Everyone gets along really well. We're all good friends. We're hanging out outside the game as well, and I'm really happy about it. So.
Yeah, and you guys obviously Nordavind made you work for it. Clearly, it was a tough game from here and there. And Nordavind don't have a bad roster. Let's be honest, their roster is pretty decent. But I think it's good to get that win on the board for XL because again, I'm sure you guys have European Masters in your sights. You want to make sure that you definitely put your mark on that position this season round. What are you kind of feeling coming into the NLC? What do you think of the quality of the rosters compared to last season? And kind of where are you viewing yourself? And what are your obviously your aspirations to win, but then obviously European Masters and beyond. Are you kind of thinking about that yet?
Well, I think the level of the rosters is around the same as last split. I think. Well, with the exception of Riddle, I think is weaker now. But I think I learned last split. I looked at the rosters and I went, yeah, that's not difficult. And then we just got knocked out anyway and didn't even make EU Masters, which was a bit of a wake-up call. But I think we're just going into this, with full confidence regardless of who we are playing. And like you said, yeah, EU Masters is the goal. But I think the teams are fine. And like you mentioned, Nordavind made us work for it. Like, they're a good team. I felt like we were in control, but you can see that the teams are terrible. These guys won't roll over and die, which I really like. I want teams to put up an effort and make us work for it, like you said.
Absolutely, and look, Hadrick, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sure I'll get to do it many times throughout the season, so I'll let you
nice
go.
To talk to you again, mate.
And I hope you get back into Diamond 1.
Yeah, dude, that's the goal.
hopefully beyond.
And maybe 2022, I'm back to Challenger. Who knows?
There we go.
Just give it a year.
We'll keep an eye on it.
All right.
Oh, I love Patrick's. He's amazing. Yeah, nice to talk to him. Obviously, they felt confident in their roster in that game. They, I think gold-wise they were in control for pretty much the whole thing. But I think Nordavind did make them work for it. Arome certainly pulled his weight in that game on the Renekton. So speaking of,
and everyone else is
going. Yeah. As he said, Gore Drinker Renekton kind of busted. We obviously have a special moment, after every game where we go and have a look at our play of the match. And I believe, Foxy, it is your turn to sort of walk us through this play of the match.
Yes, exactly. This is the play that happened around the Baron, the first Baron play. And oh my goodness, how did I get there? Let me just get rid of that. I'm so sorry. How unprofessional of me. Now, I did not do art at GCSE, so bear with me here, friends. But this is all about choke points, okay? This is what I want to talk about here. We're going to start the Baron off. BTXL want to turn on this one. You can see their health bars are getting a little bit low, and they do want to force this fight. However, this right here, you see this area right here, boys and girls? This is, as Kenny Loggins would say, the danger zone. Now, this is a choke point that really plays into Orianna and her shockwave. And if Nordavind can take advantage of that, oh my goodness, this is bad news bears for BTXL. So we'll roll the clip a little bit. Let me get rid of this off your screen and take a look at this. Where's the shockwave? Keep your eyes on the shockwave. The ball was here a second ago, mind you, but it's not there anymore. Where is it? Where's it going to go? And it's sombreroed over here, and that's the whole team fight gone in the dumpster. Not really what you're looking for if you are Nordavind, and it's, I feel like, kind of the story of the game a little bit here. Let me keep that going for you. Where I think BTXL played well, but they made mistakes that Nordavind could have kind of punished. But they didn't really do a good enough job of doing that. And it was, I feel like, a few small things that really built up for Nordavind, where maybe they could have brought this game out and actually had quite a good showing. And at times they were going to do that, but just coming out a little bit short at various points in the game.
I think actually you really highlighted a very pivotal moment, because if that shockwave had landed, that could have been a wholly different team fight. We could have
especially the swirlies, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The swirly thing's really illustrated for me. Honestly, Foxy, that was a top tier. I'm gonna mark you. I like to mark my analyst on the drawing board. You're gonna get an 8.5 out of 10. That's a pretty high mark. I'm a pretty harsh marker, but an 8.5 out of 10 for you on your debut. big man on the drawing board. I like it. Right, so we've got another game coming your way. Clearly, we're gonna put this one to bed. We've got, I believe, Trix versus Dusty as our second game of the night. So when we're back, we'll dive into that and get into Champ Select.
Then